My friends, let me ask you something. Have you ever prayed and wondered if your words are truly reaching God? Perhaps you felt like your prayers are bouncing off the ceiling, or that there's a disconnect between what you're saying and what you're hoping to receive. What if I told you there's one crucial step, often overlooked, that can transform your prayers into a powerful, intimate connection with the Almighty? This one act can change everything. Before we go deeper, let's reflect on this truth. Prayer isn't just talking to God. It's about aligning your spirit with His. It's creating a sacred moment where heaven and earth intersect. And to make that connection, there's an essential step that comes first. Think about it. When you prepare to meet someone important, a boss, a loved one, or even a guest, you don't show up unprepared, do you? You take time to gather your thoughts, tidy up, and present your best self. How much more should we prepare our hearts when approaching the Creator of the universe? The Bible paints this picture in Psalm 24, 3-4. Who may ascend the hill of the Lord, who may stand in His holy place, the one who has clean hands and a pure heart. Before stepping into God's presence, there's a call to examine ourselves, our hearts, motives, and distractions. Imagine this. God is watching you, not with judgment, but with deep love and anticipation. He longs for you to enter His presence, fully prepared to receive what He has for you. But here's the beautiful truth. Preparation doesn't start with perfection. It starts with surrender. Before you pray, take a moment to pause. Stop, breathe, and ask yourself, what's in my heart that doesn't belong in God's presence? Maybe it's worry, anger, guilt, or pride. Whatever it is, lay it down before Him. 1 John 1:9 reminds us, if we confess our sins, He is faithful and just to forgive us and purify us from all unrighteousness. Confession isn't about shame. It's about clearing the way for God to move freely in your life. Think of it like tuning a static-filled radio. Until you adjust the frequency, the message remains distorted. This step clears the static and tunes your heart to God's voice. And then there's gratitude. Before asking God for anything, thank Him. Philippians 4:6 tells us, do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. Gratitude shifts your focus from what you lack to who God is. It changes your prayer from desperation to faith. Let's make this practical. The next time you pray, find a quiet place, a room, your car, or a park bench. Close your eyes and say, Lord, I'm here. Before I ask for anything, I surrender everything. Cleanse my heart. Fill me with your peace and guide me into your presence. This isn't about finding the perfect words. It's about inviting God to take over. And here's the remarkable part. When you take this step, your prayers will feel different, alive, unhurried, deeply connected. You'll sense God's peace washing over you, His wisdom guiding you, and His presence surrounding you. Remember, prayer isn't just about speaking. It's about listening, trusting, and aligning your life with God's will. This sacred moment of preparation is the key to unlocking it all. As you go forward, hold on to this. God longs to hear from you, but He also longs to prepare you for the blessings He's ready to pour out. Don't rush into prayer without first opening your heart. This small step can change everything. Before you begin praying, take time to confront what may be lingering in your heart, those hidden feelings of guilt, resentment, or unresolved emotions that quietly weigh you down. These barriers can cloud your connection with God, leaving your prayers feeling distant or hollow. But 1 John 1:9 gives us a profound promise. If we confess our sins, He is faithful and just to forgive us and purify us from all unrighteousness. Confession clears the path, allowing your prayers to reach the heart of God and your spirit to align with His. This isn't just a verse. It's a spiritual practice that can completely change the way you approach God. Confession isn't about shame or fixating on your mistakes. It's about stepping into God's grace with honesty and humility. Think of it like clearing a path, removing the stones and weeds that block the way to a flowing river. When you confess, you're not revealing something new to God. He already knows. Instead, you're opening your heart to His forgiveness and love, allowing Him to work freely within you. Consider your daily life. Perhaps there were moments when anger overcame you, or you said words you now regret. Left unaddressed, these moments can accumulate like heavy clouds, overshadowing your spirit. Confession is the act of releasing these burdens. It's as simple as saying, Lord, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. Help me to do better. This simple acknowledgement brings clarity and peace, enabling you to stand before God with a clean heart. It fosters humility, reminding us that we depend on God's mercy, not our own perfection. It's a chance to recognize His faithfulness. He forgives not because we deserve it, but because His love is steadfast. When you clear your heart before prayer, something profound happens. The weight lifts and your connection with God deepens. You approach Him not as someone trying to prove yourself, but as a child returning to a loving Father. This act of confession prepares you to hear His voice more clearly and to align your desires with His will. So before you bow your head or utter a word, pause and reflect. Take a moment to confess and clear your heart. It's not just preparation, it's an invitation for God to meet you where you are, turning your prayer into a powerful encounter with His presence. Before you speak, begin with gratitude. Before you utter a single word of prayer, begin with gratitude. This isn't just a formality. It's a transformative act that aligns your heart with God's goodness and draws you into His presence. Philippians 4:6 reminds us, do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. Did you notice the emphasis? Thanksgiving isn't just an optional addition, it's foundational to effective prayer. Why is gratitude so powerful? It shifts your perspective. When life feels overwhelming and your thoughts are consumed by stress or challenges, gratitude redirects your focus. Instead of dwelling on what's missing or broken, it draws your attention to what God has already done. It's like opening a window in a dark room to let sunlight flood in. Suddenly, the shadows lose their power, and you're reminded of the countless ways God has been faithful. Think about the everyday blessings we often take for granted. The breath in your lungs, the roof over your head, the relationships that sustain you, and the many unseen ways God provides and protects. Beginning your prayer with a heartfelt thank you acknowledges these gifts and honors the giver. It's a way of saying, God, I see your hand in my life, even in the small things. Gratitude also strengthens your faith. When you reflect on how God has come through for you in the past, it builds confidence that He will do so again. Maybe there was a moment when a solution arrived just in time, or peace filled your heart in the midst of chaos. These memories act as anchors in your prayer, reminding you of God's unwavering presence and power. So as you approach God in prayer, let gratitude set the tone. It not only opens your heart to His goodness, but also transforms your prayer into an act of faith and trust, aligning you with the one who holds your past, present, and future in His hands. Incorporating gratitude into your prayer doesn't have to be complicated. Start with quiet reflection. God, thank you for this day. Thank you for loving me even when I fall short. Thank you for being my refuge and strength. Let your gratitude flow naturally, touching on both the small blessings and the significant ones. When you begin with thanksgiving, something profound happens. It softens your heart, opens your spirit, and invites God's peace to fill you. This act transforms prayer from a list of requests into an expression of worship. By the time you present your needs, your focus has shifted from your worries to God's faithfulness, setting the stage for a prayer filled with hope and trust. Creating intentional stillness before prayer. Before approaching God in prayer, take a moment to create intentional stillness in your life. In a world constantly buzzing with distractions, emails, notifications, responsibilities, stillness may feel like a luxury, but it's actually a necessity. James 4:8 says, "Draw near to God, and He will draw near to you." That nearness begins when you intentionally quiet the noise around and within you. Stillness isn't just about physical silence. It's about preparing your heart and mind to meet with God. Think of it as creating a sacred space. Step away from the chaos of daily life. Turn off the TV, put your phone aside, and shut out the clamor of the world. This deliberate act of setting apart time and focus for God signals, I'm here, fully present, and ready to hear from you. This practice aligns your spirit with God's presence. Imagine walking into a room where someone you deeply respect is waiting to speak with you. Wouldn't you pause, collect your thoughts, and give them your full attention? Prayer is no different. When you center your mind and spirit, you create an environment where God's voice can be heard more clearly. To begin, find a quiet place, a corner of your home, a park bench, or even your car. Close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. As you inhale, invite God's peace into your heart. As you exhale, release your worries and distractions. You don't need perfect circumstances, only a willing heart. This stillness prepares you for a deeper connection with God. Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." In the stillness, you become aware of His presence and sovereignty. It's in these moments of quiet reflection that your prayers evolve from spoken words to true communion with the Almighty. As this habit grows, you'll notice a shift in how you approach prayer. You'll find it easier to focus, your words will flow more sincerely, and your spirit will feel more attuned to God's leading. Intentional stillness isn't just preparation. It's an act of reverence and an invitation for God to draw near, just as He promises. Surrendering your burdens to God. Surrendering your burdens to God is a profound act of trust and faith. It means taking your anxieties, doubts, and fears, the weights that press heavily on your heart, and laying them at the feet of the one who is capable of carrying them. 1 Peter 5 verse 7 beautifully reminds us, "Cast all your anxiety on Him because He cares for you." This isn't just a suggestion. It's an invitation to experience God's care in an intimate and transformative way. Think about the burdens you carry daily. Perhaps it's the stress of meeting expectations, the fear of an uncertain future, or the lingering weight of past mistakes. These burdens cloud your mind and create barriers between you and God during prayer. But surrendering them isn't about ignoring or suppressing them. It's about releasing them into God's capable hands and trusting that He knows exactly what to do with them. When you surrender, you acknowledge that you don't have to bear these burdens alone. You recognize God's power, His care, and His willingness to carry what you cannot. In doing so, you make space for peace, clarity, and the assurance that His plans are greater than your fears. Surrender is not weakness, it's faith in action, and it opens the door to God's transformative work in your life. To begin, take a moment before you pray to identify the specific burdens weighing on your heart. Speak them aloud or write them down, as though you were entrusting them to a close friend. Say, "Lord, I give you my fear about this situation." Or, "Father, take this worry that I can't seem to let go of." Naming your burdens makes the act of surrender intentional and deeply personal. Surrender doesn't guarantee instant answers or that challenges will disappear overnight. Instead, it's a declaration of trust, an acknowledgement that God's wisdom and power surpass your own. As you lay your burdens at His feet, remember Jesus' invitation in Matthew 11:28-30. "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." In surrendering, you exchange exhaustion for His rest, confusion for His clarity, and fear for His peace. This act opens your heart to receive God's guidance. When you're not consumed by your burdens, you create the space to hear His voice more clearly. It's a way of saying, "God, I trust you with my life, and I'm ready to follow wherever you lead." In a world that teaches us to bear our own weight and solve our own problems, surrendering can feel counterintuitive. Yet, it is through surrender that you experience the fullness of God's care. Let go of the need to control everything and allow Him to work in ways beyond your imagination. As you release your burdens, you'll find your prayers lighter, more focused, and filled with peace. God doesn't just care about your struggles, He cares deeply about you. Trust Him to carry what you cannot. Approaching God with worshipful reverence. Approaching God with reverence isn't merely a gesture, it's an intentional act of aligning your heart with His holiness. Isaiah 29 verse 13 warns us, "These people come near to me with their mouth and honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me." This verse reminds us to avoid hollow rituals and instead engage with God sincerely, offering Him our full attention and devotion. Prayer isn't just a casual conversation, it's an intimate encounter with the Creator of the universe. Pause for a moment to reflect on this. You are stepping into the presence of the One who spoke stars into existence, who knows every thought in your mind and every beat of your heart. To approach Him with reverence means recognizing His majesty and responding with humility and awe. In your daily prayer life, this reverence might look like pausing before you begin. Take a moment to quiet your mind and acknowledge God's presence. Whisper a simple phrase, such as, "Lord, you are holy, and I come before you with a heart that seeks you." This sets the tone for your prayer, shifting the focus from your needs to honoring Him for who He is. Worshipful reverence also includes gratitude. Before presenting your requests, take time to thank God for what He has already done in your life. Philippians 4:6 encourages us to present your requests to God with thanksgiving. Gratitude transforms your prayer into an act of worship, deepening your connection with Him. Consider the difference between rushing into prayer and coming prepared. It's like entering a sacred space. If you were meeting a king, you wouldn't rush in unprepared. How much more should we approach God with reverence? This isn't about formality. It's about authenticity. It's about recognizing that prayer is a privilege, a sacred moment to connect with the one who holds the universe in His hands. When you approach God with reverence and gratitude, your prayer becomes more than a conversation. It becomes an offering of love and devotion. Your words don't need to be polished or perfect. They only need to come from a heart that truly seeks Him. When we approach God with worshipful reverence, we open the door for Him to meet us in a profound and transformative way. It's not about impressing Him with eloquence. It's about showing up with authenticity and sincerity. This intentional preparation not only honors God, but also deepens your connection with Him, transforming your prayer life into a powerful act of worship. It becomes more than a routine. It becomes a sacred exchange that draws you closer to His heart. As you approach prayer, remember that worshipful reverence isn't about perfection. It's about presence. Be fully engaged, honor Him deeply, and let your prayer be a reflection of the awe and love you feel for the one who loves you infinitely more. If this message has resonated with you, I encourage you to share it with someone who might need to hear it. Don't forget to like this post, subscribe for more faith-filled inspiration, and join our community at Soul Scriptures. Together, we can continue to grow in faith and draw closer to God, one step at a time.